Let it snow, let it snow. Outside is fine, but the fire is raging, so we let it snow. Let it snow. So it did snow last night, and I got to leave work early. I was going to leave early anyway because they said that snowstorm was going to hit at 4. But it's actually not bad. I look outside my window and I guess they shoveled already or whatever, but it's like nothing on the ground. It snow like at the top of places, but it don't look that bad outside. I plan on staying home today. Tomorrow's my son's birthday, so we're going out tomorrow, but yeah, I'm staying in today, staying warm. I thank God for heat. You know, there used to be a time when my apartment had little to no heat, and I would always have to use a heater. And we managed because it was never really cold. Like, we never really had cold winters like that. Last winter, it was cold for like one good week in January, and we started having more heat consistent since COVID because now National Grid is over NYCHA. So yeah, we have heat now, and because before it would be like little to no heat. I remember there was times I would have to go to bed in a bathrobe, or like I said, we managed because I would use my own space heater. It wasn't too bad, and stuff like that. And if you are planning to visit the New York area, just know that the weather is very unpredictable. It could be wintertime. There's times when I'm like, my son is gonna be 17 tomorrow. There's times when his birthday was very cold, and then there's also times when most of the time his birthday was very warm. I remember one Thanksgiving, it was like 65, 70 degrees, very warm. And then I have pictures from when he was little, and I took him to see the tree. He was with me. He was with me a few Christmases or whatever. Um, but most of the time he with his dad. But there's a picture where I took him to Rockefeller Center, and he's wearing a hoodie, and I'm wearing a trench coat. So it was very warm that Christmas season. So New York weather is very unpredictable. You literally have to prepare for all 4 seasons in one week. Like, literally, especially like the month of April. You could have a winter day, then the next day will feel like fall, next day will feel like spring, and then boom, 85 degrees. Like, it's happened. It's literally happened where you have four seasons in a week. Um, just the other day, I think it was what day it was on Christmas Day. It was 50 degrees when I first walked outside. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, I'm good. Not remembering that sometimes it gets cold at night. Now, for the most part, so I should say half of the time, you're not gonna you're not gonna have to worry about that. But there is times when if you outside and it's nice, I would say about 5 out of 10. There's a 5 out of 10 chance it might get cold at night. Sometimes it remains the same, or sometimes it might even get warmer. Surprisingly. But I was not thinking Christmas Day. Luckily, the train wasn't too far, whatever. But I had on like a small sized winter coat. I had on my hat, but I had on ankle socks and some sneakers. Don't do that. Like like don't do that when now this winter is very consistent. Like, it's very consistent with the weather. I've been wearing my big coat on a daily going to work. So this winter is wintering. It's definitely cold every day. Like Christmas Day it was 50, but then it dropped. So I would advise anybody you visiting New York, make sure you pack your winter coat because it's winter. But anyway, I wanted to talk about a play that I saw on Tubi. And it's funny because it always flashed on TV for like over a decade, but I never felt compelled to watch it because I thought it would be corny because I seen Michelle Williams on it. So I just felt like, oh, she's just in that because she's a celebrity. And some writers, they do that. Like, if they have the budget for it, they'll get a celebrity so people could come watch it. So I thought that that's what that was. But this play was actually good. And it's called What My Husband Doesn't Know. Girl, it's such a good play because there's so many twists in it. Like, you don't see, like, the way it ends is just like, it's shocking. So she walks in her office and some for some of us, our pastors are like our therapists. So instead of going to therapy, some people will go to a pastor for counseling, and that's perfectly fine. And I think that it's actually better to do that if you're Christian, so they could give you biblical and Christian advice. Because one thing I notice about a lot of people who go to therapy, I'll ask them, I'm like, well, did the person say that you need to forgive? Did the person, and a lot of therapists are not doing that. So then people go to therapy and they actually come out worse because if you're a Christian, you should go to a pastor or something, or somebody with godly principles or that's Christian to give you advice. You should, and that's just my opinion. So it basically, she had thought she murdered someone, and so she was talking to the pastor, and that's basically the movie. She's telling her story. So basically, her husband is a very much older man. She even makes reference and say that she married him for his money. Now, I think that is very wrong to do that for the simple fact that when you marry somebody other than love, and after a certain time, obviously you're going to resent them. You're going to start to, and the interesting thing about women like that, even though that they marry for money, her name is Lena Summer in the play. So Lena Summer, she marries this. They have a grown daughter in college. So this is a woman that has to be at least 40 or close to it. Well, in the play they say she's 40, but she been celebrating her 40th birthday for 10 years, so 50, whatever. And the husband is like 80 or something, whatever. Cool. Whatever. He's a much older man. And so naturally he can't get erected. And Tiffany Haddish is in a play. She's the funny best friend. And she's like, he can't get it up. Da-da-da-da, just teasing her. And so this handyman comes and they start an affair. So their affair is found out by her mom, and her mom is telling her like, yo, she did the same thing when she was young and like 21 years old when her father was in Vietnam, and she was like, she ended it. So when she's telling the story as an audience member, I'm like, is that her father she's talking about? I'm just thinking about that, right? Sure enough, as the movie proceeds, or the play, she finds out in the very end. So basically, like, when she ends the affair with the handyman, he gets crazy, buck wild crazy, and he don't want to let her go. So he has a gun. They end up tussling. She hits him with one of her statue objects, and so she runs away, and she thinks she kills him. So when she's telling the pastor the story, he's like, you didn't kill him because I was there. She was like, what? He was like, well, since your father passed away and your husband's always out of town working, I decided to watch over you. He's like, I am your father. Like Luke Skywalker, I am your father. So she 40 years old, and didn't know that the pastor was her dad all this time. And he started telling the story. He was like, I would, it was a woman across the street, and she would walk from the house to the mailbox, from the mailbox to the house. And he said, they made a mistake. They made a baby, and they decided to keep the secret. And her father, who raised her, her mom's husband, died not knowing that he was the pappy. And I feel like that's so many people, and to me that's trifling. Like, I personally could never do that. I could never have a man raise a child, and I know inside myself that's like, I don't know how some females do that, but that to me is very wrong, because things can happen with the child. God forbid the child has a disorder or something going on. You need to know who that father is, so you could have an understanding, so you could be like, I just feel like that's wrong. Every child deserves to know who their real dad is, but they chose to keep it a secret, just like so many other families. And yeah, it's her mama cheated, made her, and then she cheated. How ironic, right? And I feel like that would have never happened if, just the mother did make a good point. She was like, you don't want to confuse love with convenience. A lot of people feel like they're in love with their lovers or their side dudes. It's not love, it's convenience, because if he wasn't available, you wouldn't have sought him out. If he didn't reach out to you, y'all wouldn't be dealing. And that's true. That's true for some people. Like, the person, especially if it's like, and you got even people who's married and they're married to the person just because it's something to do. Like with her, she made a comment in a play like, oh, so when are you going to die? Or she's like, oh, I married you because you were rich. So she like didn't really love him like that. So she was already that, and then he would take his business trips, and she would be alone. So there you go. So she would be alone, and she had time on her hands to have this affair with the handyman. Trifling. Just trifling. Yeah, trifling. But it's a really, really good play. What finally made me give it a chance is Michelle Williams was actually in a T.D. Jakes series of The Seven Deadly Sins, and it was good. Hers was Wrath. It's Greed. Carrie Hilson was in Lust. That was really good. Like the Lust one is my favorite because they actually don't have sex. They come close to it, but the guy that was trying to get her to sin or like cheat on her husband, he didn't even want her. He was just trying to get revenge on the friend, because the friend, he got locked up because of the friend. So when he came out, he was very vengeful and wanted revenge. He was like, I'm gonna take your girl type stuff. So after watching that, Wrath, that was Lust, but Michelle Williams was in Wrath, and what made me watch Wrath was it was T.D. Jakes production. Like everything T.D. Jakes does is good, and Beyonce mom, she played a small role, but it was good. So once I seen that, I was like, you know what, let me give this play a chance, because this play is very old. It's from 2011, y'all. What my husband doesn't know. I remember it being flashed on BET. I feel like it was one of those BET Sunday plays, and those were the good days. Especially, I remember high school and post high school. Before I moved out my parents' crib in 2012, and I remember Sunday afternoons with the plays, and they were always good. And this one is because you got LaCaris Johnson, and then this one is David Tilbert. So just look up David Tilbert plays, and there's a whole list of them. And it's a shame because they get overlooked because of Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry started the same way as a lot of these writers, but for some reason, his is what really made money. Like, he's the billionaire. But I guess that's just life ain't fair, you know. But yeah, David E. Tilbert, he has a lot of plays under his belt, and this one is very, very good with Tiffany Haddish and Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child. Um, and then the husband, he's famous too. And then the side nigga, he's a famous actor too. So you got some good people in the play. It's called What My Husband Doesn't Know. And then she finds out the pastor is her daddy. But comment, like, and subscribe. I just wanted to know y'all thoughts. Ladies, you know, some people say you should never say never, but just my character, there's no way I would cheat on somebody because I feel like as a woman, it's hard to find a decent man as it is. And so, me personally, I'm not gonna cheat. And we've all had opportunity, but I'd rather break up with the person and move on and do what I want to do versus cheat, because 9 out of 10 times that person that you cheating with, they either just want to mess up your family because they jealous of you. Yes, men get jealous too. They just want to mess up what you have because they're miserable, or they crazy. It's true. I mean, side chicks be crazy too, but for the most part, side chicks, they want to be the wife. Not all side chicks, but for the most part, side chicks want to be the wife. But with side dudes, it's a little different because I know of a situation where a girl I went to church with, I was in her wedding too, and hopefully it's not true, but her friend or whatever was like how she wanted to mess with old boy while she was married and wanted to use her apartment and stuff. And I'm like, old boy, or the dude who took her virginity, he didn't even care about her. He threatened to mess with her sister, all of this stuff. So I'm like, she would be stupid to cheat on her good husband who provides with a jailbird who he ain't do nothing but have sex with her. Never took her to a restaurant, nothing. So I'm like, yeah, hopefully that's not true, but that's just a perfect example of if she was to cheat on her husband with that dude, that's stupid on her behalf because the dude don't have nothing going for himself. He unemployed. He was a jailbird. He was going to jail when they was in high school. She was smart to leave him alone for her husband, but to cheat on her husband with that same dude, that would just be really stupid, and she'd be messing her own self up. And that's a lot of women, you know. These men don't care about you. They see that you have a positive life and they want to mess that up. It has nothing to end. Yes, men are jealous of women. You know, how many of us, yeah, you might have a woman jealous of you, but she's still going to congratulate you. She's still going to be positive, right? But when a dude is jealous of you, it's even more wicked because he'll sit there and ask you a bunch of questions and never congratulate you. He'll criticize you. It's a different type of jealousy. It's kind of like, and they can have accomplishments under their belt, but they don't want to see you prosper, you know. Or if a person don't have accomplishments, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's tricky, you know. But watch What My Husband Doesn't Know. It's very good. Too bad they don't have a part 2 because it was such a good play. Like, she found out the pastor was her father in the end. And she didn't kill the side dude. It was Mr. Will Kilson. It was so hilarious. They had a character named Will Kilson. Will Kilson. So he killed the side dude or whatever. So, but yeah, and it's also a good moral lesson to say, you know, you got to be careful who you sleep with. You know, everybody you sleeping with people. Some people really are crazy. And some people, you don't even have to sleep with them and they'll start to act crazy. You got to be so careful these days. And sometimes it's hard because you get lonely or whatever. But it's like, yeah, it's good to like get to know people. And then you be like, yep, this is why I don't deal with this person or whatever. And I've done that. I'm not always the perfect goody two shoe, but there's been plenty of times when I got to know somebody first. And then when I realized what type of person they were, I'm not sleeping with you because I don't want that demon on me. And I spoke about that sexual transmitted demons. Forget the disease. The disease is curable. STDs are curable, 95% of them. But a demon is something very hard to shake off. You got women right now walking around depressed, not because of them, but because of the man that they slept with. They starting to, all of a sudden, they don't want to bathe, shower, do their hair. That's a demon they got from a nigga they slept with. They catching all this weight, obese. It's a STD. And be careful, And in that play, even though it's just a stage play, the dude was psychotic. She slept with him. He was handsome. He had the chest. And that's how the devil comes. The devil is not going to come. He's going to come in a form that you want him to. So that's something she always wanted. Like, her husband don't work out, whatever. He old. And this guy, he handsome. He brown skin. He had a six pack. He got, his stuff is big down there. So it's like, that's how the devil catches you. And before you know it, you entangled in this web. And it's like, it's an unhealthy, toxic thing. And I also wanted to add Jamal Bryant. Shout out to him. He's an excellent preacher. And one of the sermons I was listening to last night, Friends with Benefits. And what is Friends with Benefits? Is uncompensated prostitution. And the Bible actually talks about that with you're worse than a prostitute. And a person that's worse than a prostitute is you sleeping with a man and he does absolutely nothing for you. The Bible talks about it, and I gotta find that scripture, but it says it's talking about a group of people, and it's saying you all are worse than prostitutes. So that's what the man of God was talking about, uncompensated prostitution. Friends with Benefits, a lot of, and he broke down the reasons why people entertain that. And a lot of us are guilty of it because we're single, we're alone, or whatever. But he's like, people do it because they feel obligated to the person. They feel they don't want to be alone. There's a whole long list of reasons that he gave. But it's such a good sermon. It's on YouTube, Friends with Benefits Part 2. I gotta find Part 1. But Jamal Bryant is such a good preacher. Like, he really is. But yeah, that play is good. What My Husband Doesn't Know, featuring Michelle Williams and Tiffany Haddish. It's on Tubi. It was a BET play 14 years ago, 15 years ago. Yeah, 2011. Yeah, it came out before I moved out my parents' house. Like, damn, time is flying. Like, when I first moved out my parents' crib, my son was 3. He was a baby. And I was 22, and then I had turned 23. Because we moved the February of 2012, and then my birthday's March. So, like, a month before my 23rd birthday is when I moved out. I was very young. 22, that's nothing. 23, stupid young. That's, like, so young. 14 years later, he is a senior in high school going to college. Like, this is unbelievable. Oh my gosh. And I done went through so many outfits and shoes and hairstyles, and I should have never trimmed my hair. Like, I feel like I need to stop trimming my hair because my hair is so short now, but every time it grows back, luckily, but I just always wonder, what if I never trim my hair? My hair would be so dumb long if I just stopped trimming it. Like, I'm for real, because I don't have crazy ends. I feel like I'm getting into so many topics. But yeah, like, white people don't trim their ends. And you see how long their hair is, and I hate trimming my hair because my hair be so short after. But yeah, comment, like, and subscribe. Ladies, what would you do in that situation of, you're alone and the handyman is there? Me, I wouldn't do it because at the end of the day, you don't know if that handyman is going to use you for sex, right? I personally, I couldn't do it. I've never been married, but in a relationship, I've never cheated. I just wouldn't do that because you playing yourself as a woman. And then the other side, he could be crazy, so I wouldn't do it. And then it's like, I don't understand how people mess with the help. And it's not to put the person down, but that's definitely a conflict of interest. It's one thing to mess with a coworker because that's your equal. But when you mess with somebody that works for you, I just feel like that is so bad because that's just like on Instagram, they have like a cleaning service or whatever. And I had ordered a cleaner to clean my son's room. That dude tried to holler at me and I was turned off because I'm like, you just did a job for me. Like, that's weird. Like, I personally I can't, no. Like, you did a job for me. That's inappropriate. It's a conflict of interest. Like, it's just everything because this person knows where you live. That's the thing. This person knows where you live, so they could stalk you. They could hurt you. They could, And then with him, he had like 3 baby mamas. But even if he didn't, it's like, nah, I'm like, I can't be interested in someone who did work for me in my home. Like, no. And I'm not even rich. So it's like, this person is like contracted under you. I don't know. I think that's weird. But comment, like, and subscribe. What would you do? Or have you had an affair? Let's open the floor. Let's talk.